Thank you for downloading and listening to this week's episode of the I Hate Higher Education podcast. I'm your host, Chris McPeak. And again, just so there's no confusion, I really don't hate higher ed. I love higher ed. I've worked in higher ed my entire adult life. I've been married almost 30 years. I've been in higher ed even longer than that. So suffice to say, I wouldn't still be here if I didn't like it. I hate what's happened to it. Higher ed is seriously fucked up right now, my friends. And regardless of whether you work there yourself and you agree with me, or maybe you don't agree with me, or maybe you just picked up this podcast or found this on YouTube because, I don't know, you like my hair or something, or whatever. But I've just come to the realization that I'm tired of, channeling my inner Howard Beale. Again, if you have not seen the movie Network, you need to get your ass in gear and do that. But being mad as hell and not wanting to take it anymore. So I'm just going to call out everything I think is wrong with higher ed. And I'm going to do it in this show. And if you like it, maybe you'll tell a friend. And if you think I'm full of shit, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion too. This is just how I feel after years and years in this quote industry, if you want to air quote that. I've seen a lot of things. I have worked at a lot of different places. And these are my opinions and I want to share them. So here we go. I wanted to talk about this incessant crazy pressure that is coming down. It was started with the millennials and now it's really, really forcing itself on the Gen Z thing. There is huge, immense pressure for students to go to college right out of high school. And I'm here to tell you, having done this for as long as I have, that not everybody should go to college. Some people are not built to sit in a classroom for however many hours a week, studying, taking tests, learning a trade that way. Not everybody can do it. And I will tell you straight off the bat, I'm thinking of three people in my life. No, just two people. Actually, right now, just one. I'm thinking of my husband, Charles. Charles had options to go to school. He was a very talented swimmer in high school. He had offers for scholarships. The whole high school athletic thing really burned him out, as it does many people. I know there are tons. My sister too, my younger sister, Jennifer, she had offers right after high school to play sports and in college and burned her out too. So for folks like my husband and my sister, sitting in a classroom was not going to be the thing that did it for them. My husband's really good learning systems and machines and all kinds of things. And he found some pretty fantastic careers doing that. But he also came back to swimming as an adult and we started a swim team together. And he is an incredibly talented swim coach. And he could have gone to college for that, but he didn't have to. And we started a United States Masters team on our own. But what Charles has learned in his time is that you don't have to sit in a classroom to learn a trade. And every now and then I'll tease him. I'm like, you should go to school, go back to school and just take a couple welding courses. It's not going to be a big deal. You'll be really great at it. He just thumbs his nose at me or whatever. Like, no, Chris, I'm in my 50s. I don't need to go back to school. But he's doing good. He's doing fine. When I met him, he was a waiter and a bartender. And I hate that, there's going to be a need for waiters and bartenders and restaurant people and retail people. We're going to need all of these people everywhere forever. Okay. Unless restaurants, go out of style and everything is just cooking and takeout and delivery, which Charles and I were watching this YouTube video on, new cities that were being planned. And I can't believe the number of billionaires that are trying to master plan cities where you don't have to, you can get to anything you need in 15 minutes, which, I don't want to live there. That sounds awful. I hate traffic, but that fucking sounds awful. Anyway, and then my sister, Jenny, found her career in the military. She came to school for a semester. It didn't take. She went home and she and my other sister went to basic training together and joined the National Guard. And then when Jenny came back to school, gave it another try, and then said, I'm just going to enlist and go full time. And the military, while it does have its own challenges, basically you're going to go work where they tell you to go work. But, both my sisters had incredible careers in the military. Annie retired to lieutenant colonel. Jenny retired and what's the highest level of non-commissioned officer you can be. But, they both did really well. And they're both going to be taken care of like forever. They're both on full-time disability and they get their pensions and they're still young enough to work other jobs if they want to do something. So the point being, and both of them did eventually finish college, finish a degree, but for the bulk of their life, they served our country. And with my husband, he did blue collar work because this country is going to still have a need for people to do blue collar work and skilled trades and all those things. When I worked at a couple Division I schools, I worked at a very large institution in the state of Arizona. And I also worked at a mid-sized private top 25 school in Tennessee. Those two places, I sort of had this mindset. I was a big fat elitist when it came to the whole thing about higher ed. It's like it's a 4-year college or nothing. And community college is the C- team and this, that, and the other thing. And I had such a negative opinion of community college. And I think that's because at the time I was working at those places, there was this, the belief instilled in me that, you have to go to college in order to get the kind of career that you want for yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm still recording, right? Yes. Okay. To get the kind of career you want for yourself. But I was in resident stipend housing at the time and seeing dozens of students on an annual basis come to college and not really have their mindset around why they were there, what they wanted to study. Some of them were there because mom and dad didn't want to deal with it anymore and okay, go to school and let them take care of you. And local parentis, which used to be, the way of the world, but it's bullshit. It doesn't work. And local parentis is not, it's not a thing. Well, it's a thing, but it's a thing that doesn't work. So if you're a parent and you struggled raising your kid and they were a little bit of a challenge in high school, do not think for 1 second that by making them go to a 4-year institution, that's going to solve all your issues, because it's definitely not. And if they don't have decent financial aid and a good place to live and whatnot, they're going to come home anyway and you're going to be stuck with them. Well, unless you kind of, buck up and say, okay, well, school didn't work, so you're going to work now. And so I may step back for a second here and preface, I don't have kids, okay? I decided not to be a parent, but I watched my siblings raise their kids. And frankly, I have been a semi and local parentis provider in all these years I worked in higher ed. So I've seen the students that come to school that are super motivated and get it, and they know why they're there, and they wind up being incredibly successful. And then I've seen the other side of that. The student that comes to school because mom and dad told them they had to. Mom and dad are lawyers, so you're going to be a lawyer. Mom and dad are doctors, you're going to be a doctor. This is where I went to school and you're a legacy, so you're going to go there too. All of the reasons that are all the wrong reasons for a student to go to school. When you think about the statistics on how many times a student will change their major, when I was a student, the average was 7 times. In a 4-year degree program, a student would change their major 7 times. I only changed mine once, so I'm way under the level there. But it does happen. And that student that thinks I want to be a doctor and I'm going to go to med school, and they take their first section of chemistry, or they make it as far as organic chemistry and they can't cut it. And now they've spent all this time thinking, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor. And they start all over again, or at least pivot and make a shift. And I just find that pressure ridiculously sick and wrong and not fair. So, but then there are a lot of students that come to school and they kind of have a sense of something that they want to do. I knew I loved movies, I loved books, I loved reading and writing, I loved storytelling. My alma mater, University of Arkansas, had a film program that was terminated per se. It had been part of the Department of English, and they weren't offering the major anymore, but they were still offering the classes. So I was like, I'm going to be an English major, and then, I can take film classes and that'll be fun. But along the way, I, had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend and I were planning our future. And so I changed my major to secondary education in English because my boyfriend was smart enough and driven enough. He was going to be a doctor. Like, that was definitely going to happen. And I was going to need to provide for said husband while he was in medical school. Don't ask. That's a totally different episode on a totally different show. He is, by the way, if he's listening, which I doubt he is, but my high school sweetheart and my college boyfriend, same person, one of the smartest people I've ever known in my life, and well worth all of the accolades that he's earned in his career, but that's beside the point. So anyway, I changed my major. I went into education, and then I went on the 5-year plan, and there was a student organization that I had gotten very connected to, and I wanted to do an elevated position in that student organization on a national, regional, and national level. So I moved off campus for my first senior year, and then I had a 5th senior year, which I do not feel any guilt whatsoever in the fact that I did that. I'm so glad that I took the year to do this opportunity because it was one of the neatest, most fun things I've ever done. And it taught me a lot about a lot of things. So anyway, I digress. Where was I? So I had come to this place in my life where community colleges, no, this is that, you don't want to go to community college, got to go to 4-year school. And then I landed in my current gig, which is at a community college. And how funny is it that I've worked at 9 colleges in 7 different states, averaging between 18 months and maybe 3.5, 4 years. But I start working at a community college and I'm here for 11 years. I have worked at my current institution for 11 years, and it was not in college housing, wasn't in student orientation. It was in advancement and fundraising and programs. My colleagues raise the money in my department and I spend it, and I give away scholarships, and I help new students in programs when they come to the college. And I have found so much joy in this place. So I am no longer of the mindset that community college is a C team. Faculty at community colleges are amazeballs because if they wanted to be big research people, or they wanted to, do nothing but write and publish and study, then they'd be at one of those big research one institutions, but they want to teach. So they're at a community college doing just that. They're teaching. And it's fucking cool, and I love it. And the awesome thing, too, about community college is that most of them have enough variety that you can still do that exploration that you should need to do before you settle on a goal for what you want to do with your life. And there's also, if you're thinking like, just the idea of 2.5, 3 years here, and then another 2.5 at a 4-year school. And I just want to learn to do something and go to work, which more people, by the way, need to think about doing, because there are trades where a lot of people are retiring now and younger folks are not jumping on these trades. There's, I get so fucking pissed. There's all this emphasis on STEM. STEM. And again, I don't want to take away from the importance of those things. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, they're important. Data science is important. Okay, I get it. Coding is important. Learning how to keyboard is important. But so is learning how to have a conversation with an adult. So is how to ask for a reference. Oh, but I totally am off track. But the fact of the matter is that we still need welders. We need auto mechanics. We need pilots. Oh my God, do we need pilots? We need pilots so bad. I can't even begin to tell you what I hear about this kind of stuff. We need people to work in the trade show industry so that other people that are designing and creating all these new electronics and household appliances and things like that can show their wares, because there's going to be people working in retail that want to buy this shit. So you guys, there are so many trades out there that don't require a bachelor's degree. They don't always even require an associate's degree. You get a certificate. You are trained in how to weld and how to work on a car. And the school that I work at is even connected with dealerships in the immediate community, as I'm sure a lot of others are too. At a community college, you can get a certificate in music entrepreneurship. You can get a certificate, you can get an associate's in a variety of different dental professions. These are all places, and all of these people get jobs right after they finish. Whether they have an associate's degree or not, they are employable. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of them make a lot more fucking money than that student out of Harvard with the marketing degree that now has to compete with all the other students that got marketing degrees. And if they might have passed all their classes, but if they don't know how to talk to anybody, they don't know how to do an interview, and they don't know how to leave their room and go buy their own fucking groceries. Okay, and I'm sorry, the F-bomb is going a little crazy here, but now I'm talking about this and I'm on a soapbox and I'm getting kind of pissed. So anyway, what I really wanted to say today is that, yes, a 4-year degree is fantastic if you are in the mindset that you're pretty solidified in what you know you want to do, and you get through that first year and you've passed the initial courses that put you into the next step. Even just studying English, I still had to take prerequisites, and then moving over to education, same thing. A lot of 4-year schools have professional programs, and if you don't get accepted to the professional program, you've already spent 2-3 years and you're, spinning your wheels again. But at least at the community college level, even if you don't pull yourself into a trade, you can take enough classes that can be part of your GE program, general education program, and talk to faculty and have them walk you through the idea of careers and which college to go to. And, in my last episode, I was talking about this notion that it doesn't matter where you go, as long as you get a degree and you can do an interview and you have tangible, practical experience. I am going to feel like that until the day that I die, because it's really, really true. My stepmom did not take a lick of college. She graduated from high school and went right into the family business, which for her was the trade show industry. And she worked her way from the service desk, which I even did too, to being an account executive, to being a consultant. And she did, she worked really fucking hard. It is not an easy industry, because when you're at a show, you could be working 18 hours a day. But she used to say to me, Chris, I'm going to tell you that I would rather hire the student with the 3.0 that did a couple of activities in college and some practical experience and can sit and do an interview and talk to a person. I would rather hire that student than the student with the 4.0 who basically just stayed in their room and only went to class and studied. And there's the balance with that you have done well in your courses. And as my very good buddy Dana from the board that at the college that I work at has said, C's get degrees. People do graduate from college with a 2.5 or even a 2.0, and they're fine. They came to college because they had other shit to do in their life. Never mind that there's also just so many people that are coming back to school because their first career didn't work out for them, or they found they didn't like it. Like, oh, I studied art and I wanted to work in a gallery only to find that there were no jobs. And now I'm going to go back to school and be a nurse. I cannot tell you how many people I meet that are coming into the nursing program. And again, here's a field, like you can be employable in 2 years. You do have to take a lot of prerequisites to get accepted into nursing programs, but nurses get jobs and they do really, really fucking well. Now, nursing's not for everybody. I could not do it. Oh my God. No, nursing's not for me. But for a lot of people, it is a solid career that you can do for a long time and make really good money, and it doesn't take forever. So anyway, the moral of the story is community colleges are fucking awesome. They kick ass. And if you are of the mindset, whoever you are listening to this, if you're a student, if you're a parent, if you're another higher educator that has had a low opinion of community colleges, whatever, what I want you to get out of this show is that there's a lot of cool stuff happening at the community college level. And there's so many things that students can get trained on and learn, whether they're going to go to a four-year college right away and, get their bachelor's degree, or they're going to learn a trade and go into the workforce. And we need a whole heck of a lot more of that than we do graduates from Harvard with marketing degrees. I don't know. Harvard's Harvard. I get it. It's Harvard. I understand. But there's so much else out there. And you don't have to be at an Ivy League school. You don't have to be at the flagship state school in your state. Just go somewhere that makes you feel like you belong, that you can learn something that you want to learn, and then get employed. And you can do that at a community college. So yeah, that's today's episode. Sorry for all the F-bombs. Well, sorry, not sorry. I did warn you. It said E for explicit when you looked at the show. I'm Chris McPeak. I'm so grateful that you are here watching on YouTube, or that you have downloaded the episode for the week. If you liked it, maybe you'll tell a friend or share the link. And I'll just catch up with you at the next opportunity. So enjoy. I'll see you later.